So hey guys, thanks for joining me in the vault today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I'm happy that you could make it here too, Ben.
Am I on this camera?
You are.
Yes, good.
So we just put out an issue for for The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. We had a big retrospective. We talked about all of our favorite Zelda games and some memories we had with those. And a big one that everyone's been talking about as far as endings for these Zelda games go is Wind Waker. And I know that it's got a special place in Jeff's heart, and I know we're probably like some of the core fans of the game. I just remember, like, the one thing that stands out from that entire ending is like putting a sword through Ganon's head. And I'm not sure if there's more takeaway points to that, but
That's pretty much.
That was the coolest part.
Yeah, I mean, and not only he like leaps into the air. I mean, if you're gonna stab someone right in the freaking face, that's the way to do it. You know, don't just. You gotta like make a production out of it. Yeah, and then he turns into stone.
That's a sweet twirl.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
that was cool because that reminded me when he turns into stone. It reminded me of just like the like Link to the Past, like the stone that you actually take the sword from. So I like to think like in this world at one point, like a new Link could go and find like this statue of Samurai Ganon with two samurai swords, and get like the Master Sword out of his brain.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting
And
too. Is
wipe it on
that
his
the Master Sword was
tights.
in his brain, but he still had time to like laugh condescendingly.
And grunt and talk about the wind.
Ridiculous.
I did like that moment though. Like that was a moment that for the next month, all my friends were talking about and like talking about how cool it was. And there were friends who didn't play Zelda who just like for some reason wanted to watch me play Zelda, but they were like, "Oh, that seems awesome."
I think what else was great
It was
about
very
it
cinematic.
is the contrast between like everyone was like, oh man, Wind Waker looks like a kid's game. It's got cell shaded graphics and he's got these huge eyes and he just looks like a cartoon character.
Right.
But here you have like this Toon Link that he's called now, and he does the most brutal thing that's ever been performed in any Zelda game. He stabs someone through right between the eyes to the hilt.
Yeah.
And
I wonder, do you think Nintendo realized how sort of brutal that was?
I would
Or
be-
it was like, because it's cartoony, it doesn't seem as brutal. But it like, to me, it was like very much, oh my gosh, like you weren't
it was-
expecting it.
It was completely shocking at the time, yeah, because this is a series. I mean, like Ocarina of Time, I thought had a really excellent like final boss battle. Also, you remember with Ganon playing the organ.
Oh, yeah, it was
and
great.
stuff. But I think this was like a completely different level.
And the cool thing was is that Ganon didn't have like, I don't remember him having like a ton of crazy forms or anything, like turning into some crazy pig beast. So you had to have something memorable.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely did it. And it's worth mentioning, I guess, that I think it's revealed earlier in the game that your ship is actually the king. But I don't know if you guys have any feelings about like the end. I guess the whole idea of him just like he wants them to have a future, and so like go sail off and find a new world. Don't worry about like this entire kingdom that's flooded. Did you want to revisit that world, or was Phantom Hourglass how you wanted to do that, or would you have rather visited a new world?
Like, I would like to explore that sort of underground, that buried Hyrule, sort of this Atlantis-style Hyrule. But at the same time, I'm glad they didn't just go like, okay, you've defeated Ganon, and now we're going to like reset everything, so everything's back to this fairy tale land. It felt more mature, like things happen and like devastation happens, and it actually, there's consequences for that. You can't just hit a reset button.
Right.
Like, so it was, in some ways, a more mature story than other Zeldas in the past before that, which I liked. But at the same time, it's like, well, maybe in the future we can, revisit some of those old, sort of haunting Hyrules of the past.
And
Definitely.
if you were to revisit that old kingdom, you would have to wear the iron boots.
It's true. You have
I
to stay
would-
underwater.
You wouldn't want to mess
Oh
around
my
with that.
God.
No, I think that ending is also really sad too. At the same time, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like the king has resigned himself to this fate, and I've always liked the endings of, especially like the later installments in the Zelda series, like going back to Ocarina of Time. I just absolutely love that. Just revisiting all the characters and places that you've been to and spoken with, and just kind of seeing how they are in like a montage. I always thought that was really cool, and I think that Wind Waker has a little bit about that, but it's more about like the possibility of what's ahead rather than kind of looking back at where you've been. I think that kind of that message and feeling of hope is pretty interesting.
I'm curious what you guys think of like how Wind Waker's ending compares to some of the other Zeldas of the past, because I remember really liking the end of Ocarina, but then like when Majora's Mask came out, I was like, oh, this is even cooler, because it was like really weird Japanese, that alternate world you sort of transport to.
Right.
And I was like, wow, how are they going to like ever, or is every Zelda game going forward going to have to like try to top this, do something weird? And then Wind Waker kind of brought it a little back and more like tied to what I would call reality, but like was still a good story. So like I'm just curious what your like favorite Zelda endings are.
I like Link's Awakening a lot.
I was just gonna say.
Even though that one is like the biggest cop out. Just when you're telling a story, the whole, I guess this is called spoiled. The whole "it was all a dream" kind of thing is like the cheesiest way you can write yourself out of a problem. I mean, and the fact that they did that Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yeah,
Did that
Also,
They did it in Dallas too.
Bob
Saw
Newhart.
a huge ripoff
Yeah.
of Dallas and Bob Newhart.
Yeah. I don't remember any of like the most revered. Well, besides Ocarina, like I don't remember the original Zelda or the second one because they're all just very generic. From my memory, is just like everything's good again. So it's always the ones that are just a little bit offbeat, like Wind Waker, face stabbing, or Ocarina. Even Ocarina kind of fades into he becomes a kid again, right?
Yeah.
That's cool, but still sort of idealistic and fairy tale, like you said. Minish Cap, couldn't tell ya, like Oracle of Seasons or Ages, and even Twilight Princess, which was supposed to be a little bit grittier. It just, compared to Wind Waker, I don't have as vivid of a memory of like how that one wrapped up.
yeah, that's really strange because I mean, I played Twilight Princess right when it came out, and that was only a few years ago. I could not tell you how that ended. And like A Link to the Past, also, like I think that game, the beginning is so strong, like just the whole seeing the rain and everything. That's what I remember about that game, and also turning into a rabbit.
That's true.
So-
Yeah, Dark World
It's
Rabbit.
memorable.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's the strength of Wind Waker's ending. Then is like you remember at least that moment pretty well when you're stabbing Ganon through the face. I'm kind of with you. I don't remember Twilight Princess that well. I remember sort of fighting this rotation of bosses. And Ocarina, like I said, I really loved it, but I remember fighting this big version of Ganon, but I don't remember what happened after that. Like, but yeah, Wind Waker is like the end. Like as soon as you're done, like it hits you over the head with it.
So
Or
maybe
through the eyes.
Hits you through the
Yeah,
eyes.
there you
maybe
go.
the title of Skyward Sword is a reference to every encounter with even the most mundane enemy. Link will jump skyward and plunge his sword deep into the enemy's face.
Every enemy dies that way.
He's
Then
not
he
coming
won't
down with
remember
the
it.
sword. He's
I'd
coming
do
up
it.
with the sword
Yeah.
this time.
So it's
I'll
a
remember
Wiimote.
everything about that game.
Okay.
Yeah, a bush. And I know you're really big into music in games. What do you think about like the last kind of blast of orchestral
Oh,
music
the end
in
credits theme that you used at your wedding.
or something like that?
Yeah. Oh.
It's a good
No, I mean like the
segue.
moment where they're like on their ships and the little gust of wind, you kind of see it from the wind's point of view.
Oh yeah.
And like the sails fill.
No, it was awesome. It's one of
Yeah.
my favorite video game songs of all time, I'd say, and among like the best soundtracks. And I liked it because everyone wants to hear the main Zelda, overture,
Right.
but they kind of give you hints of it, but then just give you something else that's equally awesome and something that you can add to the library of songs that you love.
Very light piano music, and I'm actually curious because it was at your wedding. He wasn't even joking, right? That was the song.
Yeah.
Do you not want to talk about that?
We
Should
can talk
cut
about
this?
it.
Cut.
I thought when I wrote it in the
Abort.
magazine feature that
Oh,
was
okay.
like private.
Nope,
Yeah.
I had to bring it up.
Okay.
But I'm curious, like, why you decided to pick that.
It was mostly because it sounded like inoffensive enough to where it doesn't sound video gamey. You know what I mean? Like, and basically we were desperate for a song at that point, and I was really into that game at the time. I was like, yeah, this is kind of a cool song.
Good choice. Well,
Yeah.
it was a good ending. I think we can all agree on that for sure.
Yeah, we can agree.
A great Zelda ending means a sword in the face.
I'm glad that the sequence is called Spoiled because I think that we started off.
So we
spoiling
started
it.
off pretty spoiled.
Yeah,
We're all spoiled people.
Zelda.
Wind.
I like Zelda.